What does true wealth look like to you?
Rich family life, pursuing my craft, even if there's no applause. Serenity, I think the new luxury good. Treating my readers with respect and honoring what I call the sacred bond. Enjoying my portfolio of enthusiasms is a form of wealth, and doing whatever I can do to make the world a better place. As idealistic as that might sound, it's a great source of joy, great source of happiness to do whatever I can to make the lives of people better.
I like the idea of a portfolio of enthusiasms as opposed to a portfolio of investments.
It's really what the wealth money can't buy is about. I'm not saying a portfolio of investments financially is not important, but what's the point of worldly success with a empty heart? So I think if you can make money and if you can be productive and achieve worldly success, but also do it in a way that sustains you and doesn't have the costs of getting to a mountaintop and then realizing you missed the most important things, I think that's the way to go.
You work with a lot of very successful, well-known people. How common is it for those individuals at the top of their industry to have got to the top of the mountain and then hated it all the way up and realized it was the wrong one when they got there? Is that just a meme, or is that something that actually shows up in practice?
But absolutely true. I had one client on his way home from work. Things were so unsatisfying, even though he had all the money in the world. He would pick up a case of beer and medicate himself every evening. There's one chapter in the book, The Multi-Billionaire in the Very Empty Mansion, which is we received a call to mentor a very famous billionaire who you would know. I decided to accept the engagement. I showed up in his country, showed up in his city, went to this area that was populated by lots of embassies, got into his driveway, biggest house I've ever seen, met by one of his aides, escorted past his art collection, amazing, walked past his car collection with a glass wall, led down a set of stairs. I heard Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls playing. I could smell cigar smoke, something out of a movie. And I walked down this hallway, and in the room is this mogul. We spent 2 hours. He talked about the businesses he built, the money he'd made, the beautiful toys he'd accumulated. And then, of course, I asked him, well, who do you get to share this with? And he said, a long pause, and then he said, I'm all alone. And so I think it's more common than we could imagine, people who we think have everything, who they're cash rich and their life poor. And it makes me think of what Jim Carrey said. He said, I wish everyone could be rich and famous to realize it won't make a difference.
There's another quote, I think it's from Tim O'Reilly, who said, try getting rich first and realize if you still need to become famous. I think that's another level down that a lot of people think that they want adoration, but what they really wanted was financial security, and that there's a lot of prices that come with fame. Do you think, this is something I've been thinking about an awful lot, do you think that that is a lesson that lots and lots of wealth won't fix internal insufficiencies or a need for validation or your mental pathologies or your sense of aloneness or the texture of your own mind being unhappy when you fall asleep on a nighttime? Is that a lesson that people can learn without closing the loop of achieving some degree of financial success first?
Well, first of all, you just offered a great quote on wealth and success, and I'd love to reply with something I once heard. Someone once said, the perfect amount of fame is getting a great table in a good restaurant. And I think there's something wise in that statement. So, yeah, I think the lesson is don't numb your productivity. I'm a huge believer in creativity and productivity. I think it's a great source of joy. I don't know about you, but when I'm pursuing my Mount Everest and when I feel I'm being creative and productive and pushing whatever magic I can make into the world and helping people, it's inspiring and it fills me with a great amount of happiness. I never want to retire. Having said that, nothing on the outside is ever going to fill the holes that we have on the inside. And I think that's one of the great drugs of wealth and overachievement. We have these internal wounds. I mean, I can't tell you how many billionaires and celebrity tycoons that I've worked with, their father or their mother never told them they were any good. And so this world in many ways has been built with people by people with chips on their shoulder. And unaware and subconsciously they're accumulating and striving and gathering all these things because they really don't feel they have enough and they don't feel very good about themselves. And so I think the real key is still achieve and accumulate and build and achieve worldly success. But question your root intention. Is the building and accumulation because you're overcompensating and you have these holes within? Or is the building because you want to build monuments and you want to see how far you can go and you want to realize your primal genius and you want to make the world a better place?
It's almost like when you see someone that has outlier results in life, whether that be with success or failure, you know, the person who is permanently chasing gambling losses, always in and out of jail, or the other end of the spectrum, the person that's got accolades and is adored by millions and lots of money. There is something non-typical about that person's makeup that's made them get to that particular place. Their composition has made their production very non-typical. And you have to ask yourself the question, well, do I want that? Like, what is the price that you have to pay to be that person? What's the price that you have to pay to be the gambling addict criminal? Kind of plain. No one looks at that, but nobody ever questions, okay, and what is it that's driving the person that went to the opposite end of the spectrum as well?
I call that the upsides of your downsides. What I mean by that is our curses are blessings and our blessings are curses. So a lot of these super rich tycoons, they're perfectionists. Nothing's ever enough. They're selfish, et cetera, et cetera. But they wouldn't be who they are but for these curses. So what's often unhealthy, let's say in our personal lives and in personal relationships, often serves people very well in business. So I think what's the solution? That's why I've created this 8 forms of wealth model. I've been teaching to my clients for 15 years with really strong results. Money is one of the 8 forms of wealth, but the first form of wealth, most people don't think about it. Personal growth, the first form of wealth, I call it growth. You wouldn't think that someone who each day is meditating and journaling, healing through insecurity, becoming wiser, stronger, more disciplined, more loving, has a currency worth celebrating, but that is absolutely a form of richness that's worth noticing. I mean, if we are each day incrementally and steadily materializing more of our primal genius, what's a greater, I think that's worth more than all the money in the bank, even if no one knows about it.